Oh man, are we already up to 900 on YouTube? That was great. I'm going to talk about that a little bit on stream later. But I'm really close to a threshold for hitting YouTube partner. Um, I made a lot of progress today. I made a couple of plugs on various social media things, and I got a lot of followers. Let's see what the exact number is, just out of curiosity. Yeah, up to 869 followers. Feels good. I also have to get my countdown timer fixed. It works differently on OBS, Streamlabs OBS than regular OBS, and so I haven't figured out how to fix it yet. It's on the to-do list. But that's the 3-minute mark. So let's go. All right. Hello, good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site for legacy death and taxes, and today we are going to be playing with the Antiquity Wars. If you haven't seen this deck before, it's a stompy deck. Kind of. Oh yeah, I know. I upgraded. Like we've got a tip jar. There's like a little soundboard underneath the stream. You can press buttons and use your bits to like play audio clips on streams. I'm moving up in the world. I'm embracing the technology here. But we're sort of a stompy deck. So rather than like traditional creature-based stompy though, we're like spell-based stompy. So we have 4 Karns and 1 Tezzeret Artifice Master as planeswalkers to power out. We have the Antiquities Wars to power out, and this card is absolutely absurd. So like you get to like look at the top 5 and put an artifact into your hand. That's pretty insane, and you get to do that twice before you turn all of your artifacts into 5/5 creatures until the end of turn. So that card usually just wins the game if it resolves. It takes 2 turns to do it, but it is just murder. It's incredibly powerful, especially considering that you have artifact lands. And essentially, the deck is then built around enabling the power level of these cards to go up. It looks like a pile at first, but in my experience in playing with this and similar deck lists, in practice it's much better than it is. So the last time I played this deck, it instead had like Psi Master Thopterist instead of some of the other stuff this year, just as another way to get value out of your artifact spells. And that was pretty good. I want to say I did like a 4-1 or something like that with that deck list. So we'll see what we can do tonight. So just to like talk through some of the parts. You have some big mana in Ancient Tomb and Acceleration with both Demir's Signet and Mox Opal, and you use that, in addition to just powering these out, to make Walking Ballistas and Chalice of the Voids ahead of schedule, which against like the respective kinds of decks are just crushing. Like Chalice really hates on the combo decks and the control decks, and Ballista really beats up the fair decks like Death and Taxes. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I'm really digging the Thalio with muscles on either side. Good choice. Good choice. To round things out, you have Baleful Strix, that is like another artifact cantrip while also being a removal spell for opposing creatures. You have some Ensnaring Bridges to lock up the unfair matchups, things like Sneak and Show. And you can also do a surprising amount of work under an Ensnaring Bridge just by like killing your opponent with a Walking Ballista. Putting 4 mana into that every turn and just growing it and growing it and growing it eventually just turns it into a giant death laser, which I'm a pretty big fan of. In the main deck, there's really only one card that I don't like, and that's Artificer's Intuition. So it's an enchantment that says, for a blue mana, you can discard an artifact card, search your library for an artifact card with CMC 1 or less, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So kind of like the trick with this card is that it can turn an artifact into like a land. You have Seed of the Sin, Vault of the Whispers, and Darksteel Citadel as lands you can tutor up. You can tutor up Mox Opal as Acceleration, you can tutor up your bullets for matchups like EE, Chalice of Void, and Walking Ballista. So to just like pile it, it can search up these 14 cards plus 12 lands. So like there's a lot of stuff that it can search for, but I'm just not sure that this is worth a card. That's kind of the one thing that I raise an eyebrow at. I can understand like wanting some amount of tutoring, some amount of manipulation in a deck that doesn't have a lot outside of the Antiquity War, but I just don't know if that's worth the slot. But more generally, I think this deck is well built. This deck was built by Arkin, who is another very popular Legacy streamer who recently hit partner status. Highly recommend his channel if you're not familiar with it. They changed how this is going now. Sorry, ignore me. I just noticed a new Twitch feature. So this... Alright, let's look at the sideboard real quick. So the sideboard contains a handful of things to patch up very specific problems. Like you have the Leyline of the Voids for your combo decks, as well as Flusterstorm for generic interaction, usually versus spell-based combo or other blue decks. And then there's some weird things here, like Padim, Council of Innovation. And it gives your artifacts hexproof. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control the artifact with the highest CMC, or tied for the highest CMC, you get to draw a card. So it essentially stops your opponents from blowing up your artifacts and draws you cards. So that's pretty sweet at 4 mana. Plus at 4 toughness, it lives through Lightning Bolt, and at 4 CMC, it lives through Abrupt Decay. So like it's oddly annoying to get rid of for some decks. Then, we have Tormod's Crypt, which is a tutorable piece of hate off of Artificer's Intuition. We have another Ensnaring Bridge for the fair stuff, Sorcerer's Spyglass to kind of patch holes. We can't really answer opposing Planeswalkers all that well in many cases. And the 4th Force of Will is actually in the sideboard of this deck rather than the main deck, and I think I can get behind that. All this deck needs is Wastelands, Ports, Crucible, and Smokestack. So we're not actually super controlling. We have some controlling elements in like Chalice, EE, and Bridge, but like at heart, we're a stompy deck, right? So we have soft disruption followed by a swift clock. Karn minus gets people dead quick. Antiquities Wars is like a 3-turn clock, right? You play it the first turn, tick up the second turn, and then the third turn, they're just going to be dead in the vast majority of cases, since it's so hard to take enchantments off the table right now. So this donation comes to me courtesy of Michael H., who has started watching my videos over the lunch hour and, just kind of wanted to do something to contribute. He was thinking about either doing Bomberman or doing the Antiquity Wars, and I'm very glad to do the Antiquity Wars because Bomberman is a rough number of clicks to play through online. So let's go ahead and jump into it with the Antiquity Wars. And let's turn my volume down significantly before I make you all go deaf. I got a 4-1 with D&T off stream. That was my last thing. I'm going to be playing D&T on Wednesday, by the way. Yeah, I can understand thinking that the main deck bridges are out of place. But, like, it's going to sound weird to say this. You don't have to play it. So in the times where you're being an aggro deck, you just don't play that out. It's the times that like you're trying to be the control deck in game 1 that you're really glad to have those around. Alright, I have no data on my opponent, so yeah, the list is sweet. Arkin's done well with it. So I have all the fat in the world, but I literally can't cast anything in my hand right now. And not even close to it, so this one's got to be a mulligan. Well, this is a keep. Slightly awkward, but a keep. Seat of the Synod. I will probably take that. It's an artifact, and it would give me mana to cast Baleful Strix when paired with Glimmer Void. So I think this is fine. But it's possible I'm just supposed to look for something more proactive to do. And just, like, try to find a 4-drop or something like that. No, I'm still going to take it. I'm going to lead on... Actually, I can Urza's Bauble and get a feel for this now. I do nothing a lot. I haven't talked to Miranda yet about the possibility of doing that. I'm not looking for another guest in the immediate future. All right, Scalding Tarn, so we're playing against a blue deck. I'm not looking for a guest in the immediate future, so, like, keeping that in mind, I haven't had that conversation yet. I do have a date for the Cyrus CG stream, though. That will be next Wednesday. So that's the 28th. Wednesday the 28th will be my Ant stream with Cyrus. I'm pretty excited about that. It will start noticeably later than normal. It will probably be around 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, Cyrus, I don't know how to lose a game of Magic, CG. Yes, that Cyrus, who went on to win the Legacy Open this weekend after crushing whatever event it was prior, Eternal Weekend. Ooh, opponent is a combo deck. This is feeling like dead. So my opponent doesn't have anything floating. That's the good news. The bad news is basically everything else going on with this situation. Yo, yeah, what are you doing? Why are you still flipping? I'm very dead. Like, Lotus Petal, Dark Rit, LED. Yeah, very, very dead. That Infernal Tutor flip there was poor, right? Or maybe I just, like, misread life totals or something. Alright, I will concede to the duress rather than give them more information. Like, it's clear that I don't have a counterspell, and they have the win on board. Alright, so we're playing against Tess. Opponent was good at drawing cards. Alright, so Flusterstorm's great. Toxic Deluge for Goblins is fine. The Force of Will's good. Leyline is probably right on the wrong side of playability, where, like, I'd want it against Ant, but not against Tess. Let's figure out what's bad and pull those. Like, Tormod's Crypt is something I might consider just because it's an artifact, but it's still not stellar. So, like, Ensnaring Bridge is pretty poor. Walking Ballista is pretty poor. EE on 0 is awkward. It'll like blow up my chalices and my mox opals, but it can also get their goblins and any artifacts that they play out. So like kind of the issue at this point is like what is better than a lot of the cards that are left in the main deck? Like I guess I could play Padim to give my chalices hexproof. I guess that's not irrelevant. Yeah, Padim's probably better than Tezzeret. And I might even want to play both of those. Because this is going to stop things like Abrupt Decay and Echoing Truth. So essentially I'm looking to kill my opponent with Karn or the Antiquities War with how I've boarded. Probably just trim a Strix. It's not going to be on my priority cast list. This seems fine. Like, this is boarding without going too deep and just, like, bringing in weak cards to try to, like, get my opponent in, like, sort of fringe spots. My hand was relatively soft last time, so let's see what we can do this time around. Alright, so this is turn 1. Mox, Vault, don't have Metalcraft. Mox, Vault, don't have Metalcraft. Turn 2, 2 mana, Signet, control 1, 2, 3, 4 artifacts. Thoughtcast on turn 2 after playing this. I would keep this if like on a 6 with a scry where like one of these lands wasn't here, but I don't know that this is actually good enough. I'm gonna mulligan this one, but I think it's close. Well, this one has to go back. Okay. This is the best hand so far by a lot. Alright, Mox Opal. So I'm going to go turn 1, Bauble, Chalice on 1, have 2 mana, and 2 artifacts. On turn 2, I can draw this, and then guaranteed play Antiquities War on turn 3. That's fine. I have a lot of 0 drops in my deck, and I've also just topped a 0 drop as well, so I think that that gives us the answer. If I crack this Bauble here, and I draw a land, like an artifact land, then I can actually just play the Antiquities War this turn. Maybe I should do so. I'll still have 3 artifacts for Metalcraft regardless. Alright, so now we have either one of these 4 drops on the next turn. So if I Karn minus, I'm making a 4/4. So which one of these is a faster clock? Antiquities War kills in 3 turn. Karn hits for 4 next turn, or I guess 5 next turn, followed by 10. Well, no, I definitely want to put a clock into play. That's, like, for sure. I guess it's probably better to just, like, play the Antiquity Wars. It can dig me towards another hate card. I guess, like, it works the same way the other way around, though. I think I like playing Karn more because it's going to make an ad nauseum worse. The Antiquities War does all of its damage in a single turn, whereas Karn will do it over time. Hey, hey, welcome. Ooh, I will play the heck out of a Chalice on 0. Now I've even got this sneaky Flusterstorm to muck with my opponent if they try to go off. And it can also just counter an Echoing Truth, which would be one of my opponent's few outs. Note that the initial copy of Flusterstorm would not, like, get through because of, like, the Chalice, but all of the Storm copies would. Yeah, so Sword Equip, it is, like, just good practice against Chalice decks to play out your artifact mana as soon as you can. If you watch some of Cyrus's footage, it's something you'll see him doing just all the time. Yeah, like, the best I can possibly hope to do is, like, turn 1 Chalice on 0 and 1. That's crippling. So, like, we have some 0 drops, and, like, I do care about that. You know, EE also counting as an honorary 0 drop. Alright, my opponent has Mulligan. I'm going to keep this one. It has turn 1 Chalice. If that doesn't work, you know, we still have elements of a very fast clock available to us, and our opponent has Mulligan to 5. So with these sorts of decks, like, usually the first turn play is a piece of disruption if you have one. But now, like, my opponent is on 3 cards, and I have a bunch of gas in hand. Alright, so this costs 3 because I have 2 artifacts, so I can't cast this turn. Next turn, I'm going to probably play the Antiquity Wars and try to find a hate artifact of some nature. Ooh, or we can just find one. So how do I want to play this? I am indeed good at Magic. So I can cast Chalice on 1, then Thoughtcast. Or I can just cast Chalice on 0 and play a Karn. Actually, I can just play Karn, right? So I go land, 1, 2, 3, 4, play Karn, Karn minus, create a Deuter. Now I have 4 artifacts, so I Thoughtcast for free. And now I'll Chalice on 0, so I have a Disruptive Element. Turn that into a 5/5, have my opponent on a Swift Clock. I think the better use of Chalice is to put Chalice on 1, but given how aggressive I'm going to be in this next turn cycle, I think I'm fine with just throwing it on 0. Alright, opponent is getting another Rite of Flame there. Ah. The good old awkward draw my EE after Chalice is there. But I can cast this with a colorless mana to make it enter with no counters still. I think I'm going to kick this off with the Antiquities War and see if I can draw Chalice on 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and then I still have mana available. I think I'm going to go ahead and filter now as well. Hey, I am a good magician. Sometimes lucky confirmed. We did a pretty good job at being a stompy deck. Although it makes me nervous that my opponent did not just, like, auto-concede here. They might have, like, Echoing Truth. Like, Echoing Truth, both Burning Wish. So that could be for the thing that destroys 2 artifacts. Yeah, pulverize. Oh, God, it's destroy all artifacts? Hmm. That's good. That's really good. Okay, so what do I want? Probably just land. Probably just land. Actually, Mox Opal is colored mana. I'll just take that. Glimmer Void and Darksteel Citadel. Opponent gives us Glimmer Void. Yeah, I think they're still just dead next turn, right? So it's not even like scary for me. So I have 4 mana here. So I think I'm not supposed to tap this Ancient Tomb just to like make it harder for my opponent to like just kill me with any sort of natural tendrils or anything like that. Alright, so I'll pass the turn here. So now the Antiquity War is going to go off and turn all of these into 5/5s. So my opponent has to go off here, and it can't be goblins. Hey, Lasco, welcome. Yeah, I was wondering why we were going on there. Got him. Death by artifacts. We beat Pulverize. As the artifact deck, we beat Pulverize. Oh, that was quick. Back in we go. Battle, battle, battle. I think we're playing against Storm again. Alright, so I go turn 1, Ancient Tomb, Mox Opal, Urza's Bauble, Walking Ballista on 1. Turn 2, Antiquity Wars. I'd rather just, like, Chalice. Hey, Romario, welcome. But, like, I have a Force of Will against a combo deck. This is probably fine. It's just, like, awkward because if my opponent duresses, they probably take my Antiquity War, leaving me without a blue card for Force. And if I play Antiquity War and don't hit a blue card, then my Force does nothing. Haha, hat-trick. Thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. I appreciate your support. I hope you enjoyed Chalice of the Voids. We're hoping to see a lot tonight. Opponent has a tough mulligan choice here, apparently. Do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. While we're waiting, I just started watching a really interesting anime. I started watching this one, I forget exactly what it's called. It's something like Skull bookstore seller Honda or something like that. It's about a skeleton who works for a bookstore. It's just like talking about the life of like someone running a bookstore in Japan. Apparently somewhat accurately. I watched a few episodes of that before dinner. It's all sorts of strange. Oh yeah, Spice is definitely up at least one notch for today. Oh, they go to old, like, use Chrome Mox to brainstorm, potentially because, like, we don't have a land in hand. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Brainstorm locked is not a good place to be against a deck that can kill you super quickly. Oh, my opponent has just gone to their second main phase. Maybe they were just seeing if I had F6'd. Ooh. Man, if I didn't have so many zero drops, I would 100% just, like, slam this EE into play and destroy that Chrome Mox. But that can't happen here. I mean, it could, but it would be very bad for me. Hoping to find Baleful Strix here, so that I can have something to pitch to my Force of Will. Chalice of the Void would be stellar as well. So the deck that we're playing is essentially Antiquity Wars Stompy. So we're a Chalice deck, and we're also a Force of Will deck, and that doesn't overlap very often. This is a brew by Arkan, or I should say, like, the version I'm playing is by Arkan. All right, so there's the Baleful Strix that I wanted. I will play this for 0. And I think I will go ahead and Urza's Bobble my opponent now. Alright, I see a Ponder from their hand. And the reason to do this is so that I can potentially draw another blue card to pitch to Force of Will. Because I still have Metalcraft for my Mox Opal. Unambitious Tesserator. That's a decent way to put it. And my opponent shuffled with that Ponder, too. They do not have what they're looking for. Alright, so I have a land for Baleful Strix. That's great. Oh, and Chalice of the Void. Gas. I see you too watch Initial D videos on YouTube. They're so catchy. Where will you be when the Eurobeat drops? I feel like Intensify is basically the only thing that Eurobeat does. I feel like opponent has a slow internet connection over there or something. It feels like they're lagging, you know. They don't have anything to think about a Baleful Strix draw trigger. And my opponent's done with me. They very much had, I had lethal on board with Antiquity Wars the next turn, so you know, it is what it is. So since my opponent showed me the Chrome box, that probably means that they're tests rather than Ant. So we'll board the same as last time, where we played Force and Padim, Deluge, and Fluster. We boarded, I think, out Bridges, out Ballista, out Tezzeret, and then shaved one Strix. Romario, but like blowing the EE on 0 would take out a lot of my permanents, and I've got lethal on board with Antiquity Wars the next turn. So I think Chalice on 1 is good enough to prevent me from dying. So I don't think we need to go for the like 100%. Oh, okay, it's just non-land, so I can't blow up my own artifact lines with it. Okay, it's potentially correct then. Well, my hand's great. So like I have turn 1 Chalice of the Void with Force of Will backup for if they just try to like go off on turn 1. Geez, opponent is going for this like risky brainstorm hand thing again. It's possible I should have gone up. Well, there we go. Opponent knows they gotta go fast. Opponent tried to be Sanic, and then they were not Sanic, and they died. So Bear with 2 guns, we do have 4 Force of Wills, but one of them is in the sideboard. See, so like there's 3 main deck, 1 sideboard. 1 sneaky Force of Will hanging out there. Yeah, so like I'm not a total madman, right? Like we have the safety net for the unfair decks. No, we're not full loco. Like I think the deck list makes a lot of sense. All right, we're playing against Clashed, who is playing this weird Grixis 4-color DAC control abomination thing. All right, so what am I doing? So with this hand, I can go turn 2 this card, which isn't really doing anything with my hand. But I have Antiquity War. That's a great card. Chase Control. Yes, exactly. I'm not thrilled with this hand. Like, this card isn't doing anything without cheap artifacts to discard. I think this one goes back. This hand's still awkward, but I think probably better as a whole. I'm going to bottom that and try to find a black land so I can Baleful Strix. Yeah, in the first one I could have discarded the land, but like, let me look over my deck list. I don't know that I really have anything that's going to be like super stellar against him that's worth like 2 cards to tutor for. Like, I guess Chalice is fine. Oh god, I do have a lot of artifacts for Dak to steal. Well, Padim from the sideboard is going to be strong. Ooh. I think I will Chalice before I play anything else, though. How many 1-drops does his Abomination run? So he has Brainstorm Push, Inquisition Ponder, Thoughtseize, Nihil Spellbomb. A handful. Probably enough that I should cast this now. Yeah, I assume that he's just going to, like, steal my lands and I'm going to cry. And then anything beyond that is just a beating. Punishing Fire my Strix? Nope. Got a Chalice on 3 them? I might. Alright, we're just going to always yield to that. I can't really interact with it, at least in game 1. Alright, Walking Ballista is decent. Alright, how bad is it for me if I Chalice on 2? What do I shut off? So I shut off Signet, Chalice on 1, Baleful Strix, and this awkward Artificer's Intuition that's in my hand. I'd be throwing away some value in doing this, but I think that's fine. Zedderos, it's essentially that, yeah. We are a Tezzeret / Antiquity War, Stompy, control deck, depending on how exactly you want to classify it. That's us. If you want to check out the deck list, you can hover over the Cardboard Live extension that's on the left-hand side of the screen, and by clicking on those cards, you can see sort of like what's in the deck list. Alright, so I think this turn I clean up with Walking Ballista, and then on an empty-ish board, I'll play my Tezzeret. So I guess the question is, like, how slowly do I want to play this game? I think I'm fine with just, like, taking the 2-for-1 and knocking both of these off the board, and then slamming my Tezzeret and just drawing 2 cards forever. But it may be a mistake to do so, and I'm supposed to just, like, grow this Walking Ballista, because my opponent will have a hard time beating it. So, like, my opponent can't really get any more creatures into play, though. Like, my opponent has exactly 1 Leovold left over. I think I'm likely to find a Ballista in a timely enough fashion. That I can find something else to do with it. Alright, so I guess this is like Hardcast Force of Will. Am I supposed to make... What is the ultimate for this thing? It's a -9. I probably win faster just by drawing cards. Alright, so there's the other Walking Ballista that I wanted to see, which is awesome. And my opponent has conceded. Great. Not 100% about whether or not it was correct to tick down that Ballista. And just, like, take the 2-for-1. I think it was, but I think it's very close. Alright. So for anyone not familiar with, like, the Clashed deck, it's 4-color control in sort of, like, the purest sense. Very much a brew. Like, this is his deck. So it's got, like, DAC and Punishing Fire for, like, one of its biggest value engines, but then there's, like, Jace and Snapcaster and Strix in there as well. So it's all sorts of goodness. So I think I want Sorcerous Spyglass, which I will actively run out and name Dak Faden in many cases. I want Padim. Snaring Bridge, probably not stellar against my opponent's deck. I'll probably board those out. Tormod's Crypt, potentially good enough against my opponent's deck, though not stellar. Just, like, getting a Punishing Fire out of there that is, like, pressuring my Planeswalkers might be okay. I don't know that that's actually going to be worth a card, though. I guess stopping Snapcaster, like, K-Command shenanigans is fine, though. Most of the rest of this stuff is fine. I don't super want Force of Will against my opponent's deck, but I think, like, since I'm playing out my Chalices, like, Force is probably better than Fluster, especially since I'm going to try to tap out for these Karns and, like, Antiquity Wars. So what I'm doing here is probably about right. I guess EE isn't stellar. That should probably go. Yeah, I agree. EE is not good. I'll just play, like, another Force over that. Like, it's play another Force or, like, play 1 Deluge to try to mop up the board. In order for EE to be good, I need it to be on, like, 3. No, I don't really think I want to leyline my opponent. My opponent isn't that graveyard-centric. Like, my opponent has Snapcaster and Punishing Fire, but then there's just, like, a bunch of Planeswalkers and value-oriented cards. Alright, so I have turn 1 land, Crypt, turn 2 Chalice. My opponent's mulliganed. I don't have blue mana, I don't have acceleration. I still think I'll keep this one. It's very good if I draw a soul land. But this hand's a little loose, I'm not going to lie to you. Inventor's Fair can probably gain me a ton of life over the course of this game. Oh, did I sideboard just super poorly? Apparently I did. My bad, chat. Like, being on the draw is what made me keep this hand, actually, because, like, I have the possibility to make it much better with that extra card. Which is exactly what I'm seeing right here, luckily. Yes, we have the anti-flood insurance. You got it. You clearly understood what I was going for with this board plan. Ooh, more another Chalice. I'm fine with seeing that. So what do I want to do here? I can play a second Chalice to just insulate, but I'd rather get to the point where I can cast a Chalice on 2, I think. So I'm going to play out this Ballista on 1. This will give me Metalcraft so that my Inventor's Fair starts to gain me life. It's also an eventual removal spell for this Strix if it proves problematic. I'm not going to nug it off yet. It's not doing anything that I care about currently. Alright, so now we've got this awkward turn where I have to decide what I want to do with this Sorcerer Spyglass. I can Chalice on 2 and shut off my Spyglass. I can't Antiquity War, I don't have the right color mana. I don't really just want to grow Walking Ballista. If my opponent had Dak, would they just play it? Maybe not. I think I want to Sorcerer Spyglass and shut off an opposing Planeswalker. No, like, Sorcerer Spyglass costs 2. Right? So if I Chalice on 2, this shuts this off as an option. I think I like Karn minus this turn. Like, try to be mana efficient. if my opponent has a Punishing Fire, they can Punishing Fire Karn, but then, like, not return it because of my Tormod's Crypt. If opponent does have Punishing Fire, then in order to keep my Karn alive, I more or less have to, like, Walking Ballista away the Baleful Strix. Alright. Opponent taking away my Chalice. This is actually okay for me. Because, like, next turn I can Sorcerer, Spyglass, a Planeswalker, and Chalice of the Void for 1 again. So I'm okay with how this all has played out thus far. Dack Faiden's fine. That falls into the territory of a nuisance, but not a real problem. So I can Sorcerer, Spyglass, and Chalice on 1 this turn, while also minusing my own Karn. I think Chalice is the bait spell here. Ooh, that is strong. So we'll name Dack. Opponent has push left. Or Punishing Fire left. Alright, so now if I just minus, my guy's bigger than Punishing Fire, so I'm in okay shape. My opponent can get rid of my Karn, but then I'll just play Antiquities War, and no big deal. So I'll have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll have a 6, 6. Yeah, that's fine with me. I don't really know that I need to plus the Walker. No, I'm gonna go more aggressive here. I think I'm in the situation where I'm okay with my opponent killing my Walker and I have a 6/6. Like, just have my opponent on a 3-turn clock, plus have this Antiquity War as backup. That's a super punishing draw. Still unlikely to matter, though. Antiquity War is really good. I think minusing the Karn is fine. Like, my opponent drew something that punished me, but my opponent has very few outs to a construct that size in their 75. So I think it's like what I did is okay. Push is shut off by Chalice. Oh, that's neat. So opponent can kind of like play around Punishing Fire in this capacity due to my Inventor's Fair. Oh, but now I can just get it with the crypt. Alright, so I have plenty of damage in play. Let's just take that out. That's a great draw. Alright. So I'm trying to do it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana. So I can Spyglass, Jace, and play a Chalice on 2. That seems strong. Oh man, and another Jace in hand. That is brutal. Clash there representing Pernicious Deed as his only out. And I don't think I actually want to put Chalice on 3. There's a 1 of Deed, but there's probably like a 2 of Assassin's Trophy. And Assassin's Trophy is like the only out, like other than Deed, is like the only out to Antiquities Wars, and there's going to be more of them in the deck. So I think I take the 1 on 2, and putting it on 2 also just like stops a bunch of the redraws in like Baleful Strix and potentially Snapcaster Mage if there was something else in the graveyard that he could cast. So I think that's right. All right, and just like that, we're 3-0 in short order. This deck just like pounds through games. Okay, I guess like part of that is like my match 2 opponent conceding super quickly, right? Because like in that second game they like brainstorm locked themselves on turn 1 and just conceded. So I guess that's part of it. But still, 3 matches in just over an hour plus. I guess 3 matches plus deck tech in just over an hour is pretty quick. So this is Arkin's deck list. He's another Legacy streamer. He's someone who has been working on this archetype for a little while and has played a couple different versions of it. It has a handful of finishes in things like Legacy 5.0s, and I think even Legacy Challenges as well. So it's something that's around. Yeah, I don't think Arkin like did the original version of this deck, but I think this version is Arkin's. I know he's streamed with it quite a bit. You made it. Oh, neat. Well done. It's a sweet deck. Yeah, I never know whether or not to take Mark seriously, but I wouldn't be surprised. He brews a lot of cool decks. Like, messing around with Hallowed Spirit Keeper was something that he did. I guess it's been a few months now. But, like, he does some really cool things on his channel. Highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun sitting in his chat, like, trying to figure out how to break, like, Hallowed Spirit Keeper with, like, other weird, bad, vile creatures. Like Flashback Marauder. So my opponent might be playing Food Chain. How do I feel about this hand? So this hand just goes, like, turn 2 Karn, Karn minus, and I have Force of Will back up. This hand's kind of clunky. I think I'm going to ship this one. I'm going to do a lot of damage to myself over the course of this game. I'll ship this one too now. Ow. Alright. I guess I can go, like, land, and I just, like, play out an Opal. Next turn I can Strix, plus maybe something else. No, Mox Opal doesn't produce mana. It needs to have 3... It needs to have Metalcraft. Yeah, so these are legendary. You only get one at a time. Not anywhere near as good as the original Moxen. Alright. Infinite Birds. So for anyone who doesn't know how Legacy All-Star Manipulate Fate goes, you search your library for 3 cards, you exile them, and you draw a card. But my opponent has exiled 2 Mist Hollow Griffins and an Eternal Scourge, all of which can be cast from exile. So... Ugh. I mean, Ballista's okay. Am I willing to just, like, throw away a Mox Opal to Ballista on 1 to get rid of this Bird of Paradise? It can slow down just like a Griffin getting into play. But this Walking Ballista is, like, my only thing resembling a gas card right now. So I might need to use that to buy a ton of time. So I don't think I can afford to just kill the bird here. And those are famous last words, because, like, you always bolt the bird. So glad I didn't bolt the bird. Yeah, it is really hard to muck with the Exile Zone, by the way. So those Mist Hollow Griffins, they just keep coming back forever. Like, thankfully, Deathrite Shaman isn't in the deck, like, because before it was even more obnoxious, because, like, you'd kill it, and then they just, like, use Deathrite Shaman's green ability to send it to exile and redeploy. Alright, my opponent gets a swamp. This is fine. Ooh, a Karn. I still think it's just correct to play Walking Ballista, though. I guess I could play it for 3. I could go 1, 2, float with Opal, 3, play Ballista on 3, kill Bird, and then have another point on this. That is a beating. Ooh, Spellseeker in there. Neat. So we're at the mercy of my opponent's food chain. If they have food chain here, I'm dead. Alright, they just have their own walking ballista. That is a nuisance. Haha! We have a clock. So how I tap for this is a very real question. So I think I'll play this and leave up double colored mana. And just assume that I'll hit something that I cast. My assumption was very wrong. Did not hit something I could cast. So I took 2 points of damage for nothing. Womp womp. Abrupt Decay on the Mox. Deal. Deal, 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 deal. So this is probably the Eternal Scourge hitting play. No. Is it like a Yermag? Tombstalker! Oh, geez. That is a big boy. It's a very big boy. Alright, Baleful Strix is an answer to that, though, so that's great. I guess kind of, like Walking Ballista is problematic. So my opponent left up that one tropical island. I hope that doesn't mean they have something like Spell Pierce. That would be hard for me to beat. A delve threat is somewhat common. Alright, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things that can become big bigs. What the hell is this? During each one of your turns, you may play up to one permanent type of each permanent type from your graveyard. Well, that card is sweet. So my opponent can play a land and a Brainstorm. This is each one of your turns? Okay, cool. So not my turn. Alright. So I have 3 giant creatures that can crash in. So that doesn't actually mean that my opponent is dead. Oh, one permanent card type, I see. Oh, wow. Ballista probably changes this equation. So I play Ballista, kill Strix. And then I hit for 15, leaving my opponent at 1. So if I plus and get a Mox Opal, I've got to win. Or is that greedy and I should just like minus create another construct? If I just like minus, then I have something else for the following turn. All right, what if I swing in with everything instead? My opponent blocks the Baleful Strix on the construct. I kill Tombstalker, and then I kill this thingy, and then I'll decide what to do with the Karn post-combat. That might be better. So this doesn't present lethal. Like, my opponent has, like, a couple of blockers that they can play from exile, but it probably leaves me in a very good position. All right, what does that do? So I can cast this, look for something. All right, what is that something? It's CMC 1 or less. So I could get a Chalice, I could get an EE, I can get a Walking Ballista. All right, so I cast, I search, I discard, I get Walking Ballista, play that on 1, and then I can kill the bird. If I'm Tezzeret plussing no matter what, though, I should do this first. Just get more information. Force of Will and Ancient Tomb. I get an Ancient Tomb. Alright. So... okay, this is cool. Alright, so play this. Blue. Discard that. Get a Ballista. Go down to a scary amount of life. Kill the bird. Crash in with the construct, which then requires a chump block or my opponent dies. And then have Ballista plus a construct left around. So opponent can play Mist Hollow Griffin and Eternal Scourge from exile. I can get rid of this relatively easily. So I can go like 4 mana, pump, remove this, attack him with both creatures, and then finish off my opponent post-combat. Alright, so we get a Karn and a Force of Will. I get another Karn. So that's cool. So let's just ping that out of the way. Okay. Opponent had enough of my nonsense. All right. So I can't actually stop Food Chain with Sorcerous Spyglass. It's a mana ability, albeit an awkward one. So, like, how am I boarding for this? I guess, like, Force is fine. I guess Bridge is going to be good for a lot of the mid-rangey games. Padim to protect my stuff is probably okay. Deluge, intending to, like, pay 3 to just, like, sweep some crap off the table is also not unreasonable. Alright, Artificer's Intuition did some work that game. Like, just, like, being Ballista number 5 was pretty good. Or no, I guess Ballista number 4. So, EE is probably very medium. My opponent's an Abrupt Decay deck, so maybe the Artificer's Intuition is not stellar, generally speaking, despite the fact that it was good that game. Chalice is only probably mediocre against them as well. Like, they're going to have the usual cantrips and stuff, but some number of that might be being trimmed anyway, since I am a Chalice deck. So, a lot of the other 1-drops that might be good... D&T is happening on Wednesday. This is a donation deck list. Yeah, I think I like this. Yeah, and so for anyone who didn't catch the joke in chat there, if you play like Leyline, your opponent's Griffins keep going back to exile again and again and again and again and again. So you just like literally never get rid of them. Okay, so other than the fact that I don't have a colored source, I love this hand. Like, I have a bomb, I have an answer to opposing early creatures, I have something to protect my cards that I end up caring about. This is all great. So I need to calculate how many colored sources do I have. I'll count Glimmervoid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 blue sources, or 20 mana sources more generally. Is that enough? I get some redraws in the baubles. Redraws don't count in Strix. I'm really tempted to keep this hand. Greater than a third of my draws are going to be good and result in this hand being extremely powerful. I'm going to keep. But I think this is questionable. Yeah, you can Thoughtseize me. That's fine. So, a lot of times in post-sideboard games, Food Chain just ends up playing like an attrition-based game. And so, I'm not going to play out the Ballista on 1. I'm just going to like play a land and pass. I try not to mulligan when I can in matchups that are just like purely going to be attrition based. It just like puts you behind. So this bridge kind of like does nothing right now. But I'll presumably be able to empty my hand and make it so that these cards aren't that scary, or my opponent will blow an Abrupt Decay on it at some point. The second Manipulate Fate, notably, is much, much worse than the first. Like, the first one is essentially like draw 4 cards for 2 mana, and 3 of them are tutored up. The second Manipulate Fate is just like pull some bad cards out of my deck, usually lands, and then draw a card. The opponent does not have more mana. So I just need to have exactly 5 cards in my hand when the Antiquity Wars goes off. Otherwise, I can just, like, Ballista my opponent out. Do I just want to cast the Antiquity Wars now? I think I do. It's possible that casting Padim first is correct. I'm fine with either one of those cards sticking around, though. Although, like, the Padim Ensnaring Bridge combo is interesting. Assassin's Trophy my Mox Opal. Did not work like you wanted it to. Yeah, so, like, treating either one of those as the bait spell is fine, right? Because they're both extremely powerful. I'm fine with getting himmed here. They can't win off of Ballista activations if I win off Ballista activations first. So it's 4 to do this. So I'll probably Inventor's Fair, like, maybe for a Ballista on my opponent's turn. And start, like, grinding that engine. So, like, the way I think you're going to end up losing to this deck a lot of the times is, like, just, like, getting beaten to death by Mist Hologriffins. And it's that side of the deck that Ensnaring Bridge stops. Like, just imagine what this board is like if I don't have the Ensnaring Bridge in play right now. Actually, maybe I should just get a Darksteel Citadel. Or a Mox Opal. I'm going to do that. I just don't have access to black mana right now. kind of have to like watch the number of cards in my hand here and like not go ham. Drawing this many lands is not stellar. So I don't think I want to cast this Thoughtcast this turn. Because if I don't end up playing some stuff, then the Tombstalker can attack, which is not where I want to be. Well, so I said that with the intention of cracking my Urza's Bauble. So like I know the Thoughtcast itself puts me up to 4, but I wanted to do this at some point. Or I guess that's a delayed draw. Oh shit, that was super bad. Yep. I caught myself too late. Yep, I got caught up in the like don't give my opponent a card with Leovold part that I just sacked it early. So this isn't actually the end of the world because this lets me empty my hand much more efficiently. So like now I can just cast this Thoughtcast and just get it out of my hand. And now we're going to play the game of like who draws a Walking Ballista first. I guess I could like be attacking with these Baleful Strix. It's a little awkward if my opponent probably doesn't play more than one Tombstalker, so like these probably would just like trade. Which I think I'd be okay with. Oh, Muldrotha is a good point. Second Padim, not as good. My opponent has probably boarded out some of the combo, maybe even all of it. When I played Food Chain, I would very, very frequently board out the food chains for the post-sideboard games, for what it's worth. Yeah, so my opponent would have to answer Padim, then answer the bridge. Alright, so my opponent does have a food chain, so that means with a ballista I will just die. Hello. Hello. That gets Leovold off the board. And then I just go ham again. Actually, maybe I should only do this for 3 and not give up all that extra life. Whatever. Yeah, if I just do it for 3, that wipes the Leovold, which is what I care about. I'm just going to do it for 3. Then I don't have to worry about my opponent, like, mucking with the Padim and just taking over the game. Alright, it was irrelevant. I'll run back these attacks now. My opponent was kind of hesitant about blocking before, so I might actually just get some damage through. Okay. I'll throw away this Padim when my life total gets a touch lower, but I'm willing to take a hit or 2 from his Strix. No, my opponent is just replaying all of this stuff without tapping any lands, I think. I don't think I'm actually dead. Opponent's pretty efficient at doing that. Opponent now just untapping all of those creatures. Oh, did opponent just draw Ballista? Muldrotha. Okay, so they get a land. Well, winning through my own bridge wouldn't have been a problem unless my opponent also had Leovold, right? Why can't I hit done? Oh, odd number. I see. Oh my gosh. 1, 2, 3. So that's 4. I guess that's awkward, but I guess I will block. No, I guess that like puts it in the graveyard. I'll take the damage. I don't want my opponent to recast that. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I can just pump this a bunch of times. Now I guess I need to protect my life total. That's so awkward, because I'm like giving my opponent's draws towards like finding an answer to this ballista. Good God, signets are annoying. So all I need to do to win this is hit either land or Mox. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so now I guess if my opponent also has a Abrupt Decay for bridge, they can get through. I'm just gonna have to F6 here. If my opponent has something to kill my ballista in the middle of all of this, I just have to accept it, just for clock reasons. I don't know what they're looking for. "13 seconds left. Skillfully navigated. I think until I F6, my opponent was just trying to do things to get me to timeout. Yeah, this deck is sweet. Like, you know, I think a lot of the Stompy decks don't get, like, the degree of respect that they necessarily deserve, but, like, we're doing a lot of powerful things and we can accelerate them out quickly. So, like, that's something to keep in mind. All right, folks, I want to plug something real quick. I'm very close to becoming a YouTube partner, and I just need more followers on my channel, or I guess they call them subscribers there. It's 100% free to do so. So I put the link to my YouTube channel below this stream. There's a giant Thalia there. If you enjoy my content and you want to support me without paying any money, a great way to do so is to just like click on that and subscribe to my channel. I think I'm sitting at something like 850 or 860 followers, and I need to get 1,000. And so I would really, really appreciate it if you follow that channel, even if you don't really intend to just like watch it. If you just want to like support me, this is just a little something you can do to go and help me out. Lurifix, that's the sort of thing that like you report people for, and that is a problem beyond you. Up to 890 now. Oh man, well that's awesome. I got a handful more since the stream actually started. So I'm gonna go ahead and run to the restroom real quick and refill my water bottle. So while you're waiting, if you wanna click the giant Thalia, sub to my channel, I would love you forever. All right, folks, I will be right back, and then we'll see if we can 5-0 with this awesome pile. There are a handful of you who have followed since joining the stream as well. So Technomage, Mutezinman, and Messiah Bolt, and Senator Jesus, thank you all for following today. I didn't catch you during the stream. I just missed that notification. But thank you for doing that. And I will be right back. Lewis, even mortal men have to pee from time to time. All right. So, thank you all for joining me tonight. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site for legacy, death, and taxes, and that's what I'll be playing on Wednesday. So for those of you who are available Wednesday, come see me play some D&T. It's been a little while. But tonight we are playing with the Antiquity Wars, which is sort of a blue stompy deck, and we are currently going for the 5-0 with it. So Michael H., thank you very much for the donation tonight in order to make this stream happen. I appreciate it. You know, the support for my channel means a lot, no matter what you're doing in order to do it. What is D&T? I don't know. Maybe we've forgotten. It's been like 2 weeks since we played it on this channel. So let's see if we can do it. So we've beaten combo twice, control once, and whatever you want to classify food chain as. Lewis, thank you very much for all of the doggos. You hit your cancel button. I don't want to get paired against you. Wait, or do I want to get paired against you? Maybe I want to get paired against you. Yeah, whatever. Don't hit your cancel button. We'll fight. Lewis is the best cheerer. He is captain of the cheer squad. Multiple people in the chat trying to dodge me. Eldrazi cards are sweet. If you play it against Thought-Knot Seer, card's real good. Reality Smasher, bros. Although I guess they did kind of ruin Modern for a little while there. But we can forgive them for that, right, chat? Right? We barely beat Brainstorm Concede combo. I wonder if they're streaming tonight and I can give them shit for it afterwards. Nope. Not tonight. Just playing around with Food Chain. Ah, I don't want to get in the way of a 5-0. Well, that I appreciate. I'd much rather play against a bad random player than, you know, the best bug depths player around. Alright, here we go. Let's fight. Fight for the 5-0. versus weather report. I think my opponent plays Delver. Because I think I thought to myself, weather report, that'd be a cool name for a Storm player. And I think they just like play Delver or something. So what would I do? So I go turn 1 Ancient Tomb, Signet, turn 2 Glimmer Void, and either 2-mana Walking Ballista or Karn with Force backup. This is fine. It'll be a little rough in the face of a Wasteland, though. Do I let that Thoughtseize happen? If I let it happen, they probably take my Karn. But then I just resolve Ballista instead. Or they could awkwardly, like, take one of my forces. My opponent's resource light. If they take either Ballista or Karn, I just, like, have the other with force backup. This is an awkward spot. Like, I kind of want to force, pray they don't have days, and try to resolve Karn. Force pitch Jace. Alright. So we're playing against Pile. So I can just cast this Signet and then the Ballista for 1, and then just plan on pumping up the Ballista if I whip on a draw. Just like getting both of these cards out of my hand is good to play around like discard. And then my opponent has just conceded? I mean, I'm going to take that, like, very clearly. But, like, my opponent already gave away the fact that they're Pile, so they're not really giving me information. Or, like, denying me information. If they would have pitched something else to that, it's very possible that I board wrong. Alright. Hey, Arkin, welcome. We're playing against Grixis Control. Yeah, like, I don't know their hand, I don't know the top of their library there. They have more information. So I want the Spyglasses for Planeswalkers, I want Padim to protect my stuff. Beyond that, I don't really know if I want anything else. Arkin, feel free to chime in, you kind of know what's going on. I don't feel like the bridges are great. Opponent being on tilt, that's fair. Okay, add flusters. Cut the forces. Yeah, I can see that. And then I'd need to trim one other thing. E. E is kind of weak. I'm gonna think about this for a second, but I think I like the way this looks now. Try to invalidate their early plays with Chalice, and then just slam Karn and Antiquities Wars, which are hard to deal with. Notably, I don't think I want to like be a leyline, like take ley lines in this matchup, because my opponent is just kind of using them in a fair way, and I don't really think that that's going to be worth it. Like, Snapcaster and Culligan's Command are annoying, but hopefully we can power through that sort of stuff with our own sources of card advantage between, like, Padim, Antiquity Wars, and Karn. So I'm not going to try to, like, dilute my deck with these bad cards in order to shut off one angle of attack from my opponent. Is Crypt a consideration? Sure. You could play that. This is an awkward keep. I'm going to keep it. Again, I don't really want to mull against these fair decks that are trying to just grind me out. So I'll play Seat, and I'll play out my Bauble this turn. Then I can go Glimmer Void and Strix next turn. I probably won't crack this Bauble. I'll probably just leave this on the battlefield. Yeah, Lewis, our opponent conceded very quickly in game 1. Well, my opponent just probably names Karn with that. And if they want to name Bauble, deal. They can have the Bauble. Alright, so now I'll have 1 artifact, 2 artifacts for Glimmer Void. I don't think they can blow up my Seat. Or I guess if they K-command, they could K-command, blow up Seat and Strix, so I'll want to leave this around for another turn. I don't want to lose this land. It's crippling. Not bad. Yeah, that needle's looking real good right now. If opponent like does a Thoughtseize effect and takes this Ballista, I'm a little soft to it. Next turn we play Ballista and opponent scoops, maybe. Alright. See where you're going, opponent. So do I sacrifice this Bauble? If I sacrifice this Bauble, I'm gonna like effectively lose my Metalcraft, and I can't play something on 3. I think I'll leave it around for another turn. And I think I want to put this into play rather than save it for 1 turn to play it for 1 more mana, because I can just pump it next turn. Thoughtseize. Joke's on you. My hand does nothing right now. Ooh, opponent doesn't have more lands to continue to develop. That's great. Alright, opponent has a Jace. Less great. Ooh! Oh yeah, super punishing to not have the EE now. Alright. Didn't really expect that one. I mean, I guess I should have. But that was not on the list of things that I was playing around. Pyroblast is not usually a card that's on my mind, given the decks that I play. So I think I'm going to play Antiquities War before playing my land. Yeah, Snap Pyro would be rough. But like, if this just resolves, the game ends, right? So I think I have to take the chance. Do I even want to play out this land? Like, the issue with waiting is that, like, my opponent just slams the Jace and there's trouble. So I can play this Darksteel Citadel to, like... Alright, what am I tutoring up with this Intuition? So it just be like Ballista that I'm tutoring up. So each one of these could just be a Ballista. So I guess I don't play those out. Technomage. It's been many moons since I played Zombardment, but it is a deck that I owned in paper and I played around with a little bit. I haven't played very much of the deck since it got Stitcher's Supplier. I played with it back when, like, Sam Black first innovated the archetype. It was a lot of fun. So I guess step one is, like, let's see if this resolves. Actually, I guess I could also Inventor's Fair, like, play land, Inventor's Fair, get Sorcerer Spyglass, shut off Jace, make them find K-Command or Snapcaster. Is that better than just, like, whittling down the cards that matter in their deck? Unsure. It might be, though. I think it's better. Yeah, this is 4 to sacrifice. Now I have 4. There's still a Snapcaster in the way. So, like, that doesn't work this turn. Like, I can pump it, you remove 1 counter, kill Snapcaster, and then hit Jace for 1, remove for 1. It'll work the next turn if my opponent, like, doesn't have removal. Yeah, I don't think I want to put myself in a situation where, like, I'm dead to removal, which is one of the most, like, common things in my opponent's deck. Strix, Force, Ponder, Snapcaster. Oh, geez, they have Snapcaster Culligan's Command. That is a beating. Now do I just want more mana in play? The real tension between Artificer's intuition and everything that I want to be doing. This is, like, just 1 turn too late, kind of unfortunately. So I think I want to play this next turn, which means I'm not doing this again, which means I might just want my lands, so I can just cast, like, a bigger Ballista if I draw one. I think I'm going to play out 1 of those. Alright. So my Ballista is down. I'll nug a Snapcaster Mage on the way out. We're 4-0 Arkin. Alright, so what happens if I play Vadim? If I play Vadim, my opponent can just, like, kill my Strix. Does this make them draw? No. Okay. I can play Intuition, discard, get another Ballista, and then cast a Ballista for X equals 3 on my next turn. Or I can play like Padim and Artificer's Intuition holding my Bauble. Alright, let's try to cast Padim, see if that works. No. Alright, so since that didn't work, I will play... no, Bauble is just better being another copy of Ballista. What is this gas? Alright, so that hit the Force of Will, which means that this should resolve. Ugh. Okay. So I guess I'll cast the Bauble. And now I don't have another one of those, so I can just play out my land safely. And then I'll Bauble looking for a card and try to get back in this by, like, ripping in Antiquity War. Oh, geez. Return Snapcaster Mage. So now they have Snapcaster Force of Will available. I got super punished for not doing that in response to the return because now I don't know what the other card in their hand is. I'm going to hold this Ancient Tomb. Yeah, so my opponent has 3 Force of Wills in graveyard, so they can just, like, snap Force, bounce with Jace, snap Force again. The way I win from here is if my opponent just, like, taps out and plays something stupid, like a Liliana the Last Hope or something like that, that takes them off of 7 mana. So if I just cast this, my opponent will counter it. And I let them do that. So I'm hoping to draw some other bomb. Like cast Thought Cast, opponent counters that, play second bomb, go from there. Yeah, having access to EE would have been huge. K command, return a Snapcaster. Yup. Now Snapcaster K command's available. This is all sorts of gross. But Snapcaster Counterspell, or Snapcaster Force of Will isn't. So that's good. Like, there's hope. But I guess there isn't. It's just, like, because of the clock I'm under. Well. Alright. That's fine. So I'm going to swap one Bobble for one EE, and then I liked everything else that we did. Opponent's Pithing Needle taking 2 of our cards that game was really devastating. The Artificer's Intuition was also just kind of awkward with like the way the rest of my mana costs were lining up, so we didn't really get a chance to put this into play early. And I don't know about this card. Yeah, I think without him having Jace, we would have been in fine shape. Alright, so this doesn't do anything quickly, but like it has turn 2 Chalice into a Karn a little bit later on. This is fine. If the Chalice gets taken with something, we still have Baleful Strix as a turn 2 play. So taking the Chalice is probably more or less obligatory. Maybe wrong if they have Culligan's Command in hand, though. They may just like take the Karn since it's more difficult to answer. RBS, it is going well. We are 4-0 currently. So this is the last game. This is the big deciding moment for whether or not we get there. Getting hemmed. Getting hemmed. So we still have that EE. So we got that going for us. So I don't just want to play out this EE. If my opponent takes it with a piece of discard, so be it. But like I don't know if I want to like use this on 1 to just like get rid of a Pithing Needle. I don't know if I'm going to need to sweep a couple of creatures off the battlefield. I don't know if I'm going to need to get that to 4 to take care of a Jace. So I'm gonna leave this for as long as I can. Now we're at the mercy of the deck. Zombie Fish. We are not getting EE up to 7. What is this Chalice going on? I could cast this Chalice on 2. It would shut off my Spyglasses and this non-ensnaring bridge stuff. We shut off my opponent's hymns, which don't matter anymore. I should probably just put a redundant Chalice on 1 and just like not give my opponent access to their 1-mana removal spells. I just don't want a like Culligan's Command to like blow up my Strix, get rid of a Chalice, and open up their 1-drops. That is rough. Like, I can get rid of this. So I can go like 3 mana and then 2 mana crack, get rid of the Lily, and that still leaves this stuff as a problem though. Alternatively, I can Artificer's Intuition for a Ballista. I don't think that's great. This stings a bit, though. And I do think I need to do it now. I don't really want them to, like, minus and hit another creature. Yeah, the fish is a jerk, and, like, Bridge is bad in this matchup, so, like, you're supposed to cut it. So hopefully we find a way to beat that. So I'm dead to a removal spell, but it doesn't look like my opponent has one, which is good. So now I block here. Okay. Can kill that. Nug my opponent. Now I need something like a Karn. Alright. And we lose our 5-0 to a big zombie fish. Womp womp. I'm still very happy with the 4-1, obviously. Like, that's absolutely stellar. Oh yeah, like I'm not mad at all. Alright, so let's kind of debrief. Generally speaking, I liked the main deck. I'm not overly hot on this Artificer's Intuition. It feels like really, really awkward to me. Like I understand the possibility of just like cycling it into these cards. But generally speaking, like most of my plays are very proactive. I guess this is like fine in some matchups that go very, very long where you turn like the Citadels, Seats, and Vaults into something that's more relevant. But I don't know. I don't know that this really fits the speed of the deck of like tap out, play big, powerful 4-drop. I don't know that I'd play this card again, although like I understand why it's in here. Other than that, I like the main deck a lot. Yeah, I can see like this being like a 5th copy of Chalice of the Void for the combo matchups, or like your 2nd copy of Tormod's Crypt. And like I get it. But I kind of just want to have another card to jam. Like, I don't know, maybe like I might want to play like a Tezzeret Agent of Bolas on inside of this, so that I can just have like one more way to win under my Ensnaring Bridge. But like getting like 2 colors at the same time can be a little tricky, so maybe not. I liked the sideboard. I didn't really feel like I was lacking anything, at least in the matches that I played. Most of the sideboarding seemed somewhat intuitive. I really like Padim. I could even see that card being promoted to the main deck. It's very powerful. I mean, like, you want to have some Force of Wills to keep the combo decks in check. I can understand, like, going the 3-in-1 split. Like, if I was going to play this again, like, and I thought combo was very popular, like, playing the Force in the main deck over this might be fine as well. Like, maybe Padim is a worse Game 1 card just because more removal is around and a better Game 2 card, like 2 and 3, when like all the other hate is coming in from the sideboard and it helps you to grind things out. But like Padim's another one of those cards that you can just jam, right? Like if you play that super early on in a matchup, it can just draw you a whole bunch of cards. I would consider moving one to the main deck. Maybe not more than one, but it seems good. I wish I had to play with this card a little bit more. Like, drawing 2 cards a turn is super, super fun. But generally speaking, no, we lost. So we ended 4-1. Did not get the 5-0. Narrow miss. Lost to Grixis Control at the tail end there. So I enjoyed this deck a lot. It's certainly something that I would play again. I think Chalice of the Void is a very well-positioned card right now, you know, as is shown by me shoving 3 of them into the sideboard of D&T. This is the deck list that I'm going to be messing around with on Wednesday. Off stream, I played 2 leagues with it. I got a 3-2 and a 4-1. List has felt pretty good so far, though, you know, I need more testing to see if some of the changes that I made are good. But I'll talk about this list more on Wednesday. I did cut a mom, yeah. I'll leave that up there for a second if you just want to take a look at it while I kind of do my debrief. So thank you all for joining me tonight. I'm going to be wrapping things up now. For anyone who wasn't here at the end of round 4 when I talked about this, I do have my YouTube channel linked below the chat, and I'm looking to get more followers there, or I guess they're called subscribers, so that I can monetize my YouTube channel. So if you haven't already followed my channel, I would really appreciate it. And more generally, that's just one of the ways that you can support my content. And if you love what I'm doing, you know, please consider supporting me in some way. You know, whether it's, you know, subscribing here, you know, doing a donation deck list, you know, retweeting that I'm looking for followers, things like that. You know, it all means something to me. So thank you all very much for supporting me. It doesn't look like anyone else is streaming Legacy tonight, so I think I'm just going to host Jarvis, who is, I think, playing Modern tonight. So I'm going to call it here. Thank you all, folks, and have a good night.